The door clicks shut. The sound of your footsteps fades down the hallway, then disappears entirely. And in the quiet that follows, your dog is left with something most of us have wondered about in the back of our minds, probably more than we'd admit. What actually happens to them in that stillness? What are they thinking, feeling, doing in the hours between your goodbye and your return? It happens in millions of homes every single morning. People leaving for work, for errands, for a few hours, and dogs watching from the window, or the doormat, or somewhere in the middle of the living room floor. And most of us carry a small, quiet weight about it. A kind of wondering, are they okay? Are they lonely? Do they even notice I'm gone? Because it turns out, they notice, deeply, specifically, and in ways that are far more fascinating than you might expect. Thousands of years before your dog had a memory foam bed or a treat puzzle, their ancestors lived by one clarifying rule. The pack is safety, and separation from the pack is danger. Wolves don't wander alone by choice. An animal separated from its group was vulnerable to predators, to cold, to starvation. Alone meant at risk. Together meant alive. That primal equation was written into the nervous system of every ancestor your dog carries. The sound of the pack moving together, the scent of familiar bodies nearby, the rhythm of shared breathing. These weren't comforts. They were survival signals. They meant, you are safe, you are protected, you belong. And that ancient code didn't vanish when dogs moved inside our homes. It just redirected. The pack became smaller, 2 members instead of 20. And the signal shifted from the scent of wolves to the smell of your jacket, the sound of your particular footsteps, the specific warmth of your presence in a room. When you leave, your dog doesn't think in abstract concepts. But their nervous system registers something unmistakable. A key signal of safety has moved out of range. And what happens next is a window into something genuinely profound. In the first 20 minutes after you leave, most dogs don't do what you might imagine. They don't immediately curl up and sleep. They don't go straight for the toy bin. Research on dogs left alone with cameras has revealed something more deliberate. A listening phase. Your dog will often stand near the door, or wherever your scent is strongest, and simply wait. Head slightly tilted, ears tuned outward. It looks like stillness, but it's actually intense attention. They're monitoring, recalibrating, checking whether the departure was permanent or temporary in the only way they know how. You might think this looks like anxiety, and for some dogs, it can tip in that direction. But for most, it's actually something closer to watchfulness. The ancient posture of a creature oriented toward what matters most. They're not panicking, they're paying attention. Then there's the scent ritual, and this is the part that surprises most people. Your dog spends a significant portion of your absence using their nose, your pillow, your side of the couch, the spot on the floor where you sat last night. They're not being dramatic. Scent is their primary language. Far more information dense for them than it is for us. And your scent is, functionally, a version of your presence. Studies have shown that when dogs encounter the scent of their owner versus a stranger's scent, distinctly different regions of the brain activate. Your smell literally registers as you in their brain, not just as a familiar odor. So when your dog buries their nose in your worn hoodie while you're gone, they are, in the most neurological sense of the phrase, spending time with you. Here's where it gets really interesting. After the listening phase, after the scent checking, most dogs eventually make what researchers have begun calling a settling decision. And where they settle is not random. Dogs left alone almost universally choose one of a few specific locations. Somewhere with your scent, somewhere with a sightline to the door you left through, or somewhere elevated with a broader view of the space. They're not choosing comfort the way we think of it. They're choosing strategic comfort. A position where they can both rest and remain oriented toward you, toward the space where you'll return. But there's another layer to this. Some dogs, and you may have noticed this, actually sleep more deeply when alone than when their owner is present. This seems counterintuitive, right? But here's the reframe. When you're home, your dog is often tracking you. Where did you go? What are you doing? Is something about to happen? A walk, a meal, a shift in energy? Your presence keeps them pleasantly alert. Your absence, paradoxically, can release them from that monitoring role. For dogs with secure attachment, alone time sometimes becomes genuinely restful, because the decision of what to attend to becomes simpler. And then, around the time you typically start heading home. And this is the part that genuinely surprised early researchers. Many dogs begin to stir, not because they heard the car, not because a door opened, but because something in their internal sense of time, likely linked to circadian rhythms and cortisol cycles, begins anticipating your return. There's a famous longitudinal study in which dogs consistently moved to the door or window somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes before their owner arrived home, regardless of how randomized the schedule was. They weren't reading clocks. They were reading something more internal. Your rhythm had become their rhythm. Your patterns had written themselves into their biology. Now, there's something most owners don't realize about this, and it matters. What all of this behavior reveals isn't sadness. We're quick to project human loneliness onto our dogs, and the image of a dog waiting alone at the door can feel heartbreaking through our lens. But the psychological picture is more nuanced than that. A dog who waits, who scent checks, who settles strategically, and wakes ahead of your return. This is a dog who is deeply, securely attached. They miss you in the way that secure attachment feels. Not with panic, but with orientation. Not with despair, but with anticipation. Researchers call this the secure base effect, the same attachment framework used to understand human relationships. A securely attached dog uses their person as a psychological anchor. Even in your absence, you function as a reference point. The world makes sense in relation to you. And this is the part that's worth sitting with. You did that. Your consistency, your presence, the way you come back every time you leave. That's what built the safety your dog is resting inside of right now. Studies have found that a dog's cortisol levels, the stress hormone, typically return to baseline within a few hours of a calm departure in dogs with secure attachment. Their heart rate's steady. Their breathing slows. They find their equilibrium. Not because you're there, but because they trust you'll return. That trust lives in their nervous system, and you put it there. Know that what you're seeing in your dog's alone time behavior is not evidence of suffering. It is, for most dogs, evidence of devotion, of an animal organized around something they love, waiting patiently in the full confidence that it will come back. And here's something fascinating that changes how you might walk through your own front door. The moment of your return isn't just meaningful to your dog emotionally, it's physiologically significant. Research has documented that reunions between dogs and their owners produce a measurable spike in oxytocin, the bonding hormone, in both the dog and the human. Not just the dog, both. What this means is that your dog's joy when you walk through that door isn't just a greeting. It's a biochemical event. It's your nervous systems recognizing each other. And the reason it feels so disproportionately wonderful, even when you've only been gone 2 hours, is because your bodies are genuinely calibrated to each other. You are each other's social reference point, each other's regulation. This is the co-evolved relationship in its most visible form. Two species who found each other across 10,000 years of history and built something genuinely mutual. Not owner and pet, something closer to companions who keep each other steady. So what is your dog thinking when you're not home? They are thinking, in the oldest, most instinctual language available to them, of you. Not in words, not in pictures exactly, but in scent and rhythm, and the quiet orientation of a creature who has made you their still point. They are resting inside the safety your relationship built. They are listening for you. They are waiting with the particular patience of an animal who trusts deeply, without reservation, without condition. They are telling you, through every settled breath, every nose pressed into your pillow, every moment spent watching the door, that you are their home. That in your absence, you are still somehow present. And that when you come back, the world will be, for them, Completely right again. After a long day, there might be nothing quite as grounding as knowing that somewhere, someone is just waiting for the sound of you. Thanks for watching. If you loved learning about your furry best friend, be sure to like and subscribe for more.